All right, it's time. Phoenix Revolution. Woo! Let's bring Stacey on to introduce herself, her show, and what's up for today's show.
Hey, Nicole. So great to hear from you. How are you doing today?
Neat and interesting.
Good. Neat and interesting. Well, and no, I think that is the energy. That is exactly the energy of where we're at right now. As we're recording this, it is, I believe it's March 10th and of 2025. And it is neat and interesting. And neat, I want to say, is kind. I feel like neat is the word that we're using, kind of like the I am statements, to avoid what we're actually really experiencing and processing and going through. But today I'm going to be talking about starseeds with everyone. So for those of you who are new to the show, welcome. I am Stacey, the Black Feather Intuitive. Welcome to Phoenix Revolution, Transform Unapologetically. If you are averse to swearing, this might not be the show for you, because I'm going to probably drop an F-bomb or two. That's usually what happens in the show, as I am talking about different subject matters and topics. But basically here, this is a show where we talk all things metaphysical in relation to the Phoenix energy, and it's all about transformation. And are we ever in a transformative space collectively. And so today I thought I would kind of talk about starseed energy. So what exactly is a starseed? You know, we have in the metaphysical community, we have all sorts of different, sayings and phrases and modalities, and, like there's a reason why we're considered weird, because there's all sorts of weirdness that we talk about that is not of the mainstream, not of the norm. Although I'm happy to report that there is more of it today that has become more mainstream, and we are becoming less weird over time. But starseed is definitely one of those topics. And so here's what I like to describe a starseed as. A starseed is in the world, but not of the world. A starseed is in a human body, but does not always feel quite human. And we often in the metaphysical community, we talk about light workers and seekers and angel enthusiasts and tarot enthusiasts, card enthusiasts. There are just so many different healers, energy healers, shamans. There's the gamut, Reiki, all the rest of it. Well, a starseed is part of that, big conglomeration of weird words. And so a starseed, the basic gist of it is a starseed comes from not of the earth, comes as a soul incarnating into the body with a particular mission and purpose. And that particular mission and purpose is to help humanity rise to its highest and best potential, its highest and best outcome. So starseed energy, for lack of better words, is a being that comes from maybe another galaxy, another multiverse, universe, comes from a different planet. And so it requires a little bit of suspension of disbelief for some people. For me, I've been on this path for a really long time, so it is just kind of my norm. But the idea is that you're coming in here, and when you're born, starseeds, not all starseeds, but many starseeds are often born into families with high dysfunction, high chaotic experience, often some abuse. They're born into these families because starseeds kind of need a little crash course in what it means to be human. And not to say that every human's experience is an abusive one and through family of origin, but as a starseed, it's kind of like you haven't been through the karmic wheel on planet Earth as many times as humanity has. And if you're going to come in and you're going to help humanity rise to their truest, highest potential, you have to really, what do they say? When in Rome, do as the Romans. You have to understand the complexixities of human life and what it means to be in a human body and all of those things. So starseeds often choose these kinds of early life experiences that give them a taste of the good, the bad, and the ugly of the human experience. Because what happens with a starseed being is they go through these challenges. They recognize from an early age that they're very different. They're very unique. They're truth tellers. People are either very drawn to them for their energy, or they're afraid of them and try to squash them like a bug. They're very psychic, very telepathic in many cases, always drawn to the stars, the sky, the planets, often the oceans, which is the last great frontier that we have not fully explored on this planet, and are drawn to these mysteries. They are often individuals who are seen as old souls, children who are wise, wise wisdom coming from these beautiful children with these big, beautiful eyes. Some starseeds have a real calming energy and a calming presence to them. And they're drawn to, sort of that starlight energy in space, because they always have this feeling of, I'm homesick, but nowhere on the planet have I ever felt home. It's hard for starseeds sometimes to find a place where they really connect, where they really fit in, where it feels like home. There are places that they can find where there's a remembrance of home. It's similar to home, but not quite home. And starseeds often struggle with deep-seated depression. They struggle to make true, deep, lasting connections with friends and family members. They're often seen as the black sheep of the family, or I like to say the purple unicorn of the family. And there's a lot of struggle. There's a lot of feeling very much like you don't fit in. And I often use the analogy of the story of the ugly duckling to describe the starseed. You are a swan living among ducks, and ducks get nervous around things they don't understand. They get nervous around things that are different, things that are unpredictable, things that they can't control. And you being a swan living among the ducks, you don't understand it at first. You don't understand why your beak is bigger and your your feet, your webbed feet are ginormous, and your feathers are a different color than all of these other ducks around you. And you often go through a period of time trying to conform, trying to fit in, trying to find your way and your place. And some starseeds continue to live in hiding, always in, sort of hiding in plain sight, and never feeling fully fulfilled with their relationships and their dynamics, because they just automatically assume there's something off with me, there's something wrong with me, and I guess I'm always going to live a life of unfulfilled connection, because I show up and I do so much for so many people, but when I need the same level of support or guidance or help in return, I very rarely get it. And, there's just so much to, that story of the ugly duckling that really makes sense, that as the starseed, sort of carries on about their journey and perhaps is drawn to their path and the metaphysical or the spiritual community, or even a religious path. We all walk our own paths, our own unique blueprints. There is more of an awareness of self and an awareness of, okay, yeah, I am different. Maybe I don't completely understand why, but I'm either going to berate myself for that difference and continue to try to conform and just live in that unfulfilled state, or I'm going to accept and embrace my differences, and my deep, true, lasting connections may be few and far between. They may be smaller, in nature over my life, but it's quality over quantity. And so if you can relate to any of this, those who are listening, you are not alone. And I'm going to say that starseeds it's kind of like you're 1% of the population of the globe. And that's a pretty small number of things when you consider we've got, 5 or 6 billion people on the planet now? I could have that wrong, so don't quote me on that. We got a lot of people. on the planet. And if star seeds make up 1% of the population, it would stand to reason that you're not going to meet so many of them unless you actually go seeking them out. And so star seeds for a really long time have had a real struggle to find meaning and purpose in their life, to make sense of why they, are here in this strange land, on this strange planet. And many of us can feel like we've been abandoned. We don't understand why we've been, dropped off. It's like a mother dropping her, 4-year-old off in a park and not telling, your child that, oh, I'm going to be over here on the park bench, and just dropping them off, and they go off and do their thing. And all of a sudden they come to and realize, oh my God, where's my mom? What am I doing here? Where's my food? How can I survive? Why is it that what nourishes other people doesn't nourish me? And we can often go into a fight or flight, a survival mode existence unless and until we meet either a fellow starseed or we come across a light worker who can see us. And I want to can see, sort of into our souls, can understand who we are and what we represent, and not give us purpose, but explain that purpose. And for me, in case you didn't know, spoiler alert, I am definitely a starseed. I definitely identify as a starseed. But the journey to get there for me was very interesting. I came from a very religious family background, a very abusive sort of situation in the family when I was born into it and really young, and then also this, sort of religious component. And I had, a number of things that no one else around me seemed to have or understand, and there was a lot of, focus on other things, 3D things, fighting in the house, and there was alcoholism in my home as well. So dealing with all the, like I said, all the 3D drama and dysfunction, that I just kind of got lost in the shuffle and learned how to sort of blend into the wall, so that I wouldn't get hurt or would be hurt less, and would have all of these different experiences, but literally had no one to talk to about it, and no one who was focused enough at that time to really see me for who I was. And so on my journey, I didn't really start to truly open up to my gifts without a level of fear until after I graduated college and kind of went on my merry way, met some interesting people who didn't come from that same background where the metaphysical was the devil's work, and you weren't allowed to have tarot cards, and even the concept of reincarnation was something that I could get abused over. Having free thinking thoughts about different concepts out there was not allowed. So as a starseed, at least from my experience, and of course that's really only where I can speak from, is that it took me a really long time to, I knew clearly I was very different. I didn't know why. I felt ashamed of the fact that I didn't really fit in. I happened to be kind of I would say a luckier starseed. Often starseeds who don't fit in literally don't fit in. They tend to be the outcasts in society and have trouble in school and things of that nature. For me, I just flipped into an A-type personality where I was going to make sure that I was going to be the A+ student and do all the right things and everything, not because I wanted everyone to think I was awesome, but more so because I didn't want to attract negative attention to myself. So that's not always the case for all starseeds, but that was kind of my journey. So I was able to blend in, and I just put a smile on, flipped the performer switch on, and went through life just recognizing at that time that I was always going to be the person to be the helper, to fix the problem, to solve the problem, to be there at a moment's notice when someone else needed me, to drop everything and go to the aid of another, and really just figured that it was not my lot in life to find connection and satisfaction and support. And I did have friends. And my friendships were, I want to say, satisfying based on what society tells you friendships are supposed to look like and be like, when you're younger. So I just went based on that. And as I got older and felt the differences even more so, and my beliefs were shifting and changing, and I was away from my parents and my family of origin, and, growing and learning and, seeing all of my dysfunction laid bare and, trying to move past my choices and figuring out why I was doing what I was doing and why things weren't working out. I started to, seek out the metaphysical which of course is where a lot of you guys are. We're all seekers looking for the answers. And the Starseed piece came about, I want to say probably 12 or 13 years into my journey. And I started reading about, the sort of the aliens, talking about aliens and all of these beings people that channel other people and channel these beings from other planets. And I thought it was just weird and whacked out and crazy ass shit. And like, oh my God, I was so drawn to it. And I loved listening to it, especially if it really resonated. But I also was like, I could never be that. I could never do that. What would people think? I heard what people were saying. I saw what people were saying about those individuals and how they were, kind of on the fringe. And that was very scary to me. And I was connected at the time, this was many years ago, I was connected with it was called the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship. It's something that I believe is global. They have different chapters here, there, and everywhere. And I was connected with this group. And this was at a time when I really was kind of coming out of the psychic closet and learning about myself and noticing even that I was unique and different among the other psychics and empaths that I had met. That was the extension of my knowledge, was meeting other people who were psychic and meeting other people who were empaths and I hadn't, and tarot readers, and I had not really fully explored the gamut. I knew there were some, shamanic healers and angel people and things of that nature, but I kind of lumped it all under psychic. And I saw a speaker at one point during one of our lecture sessions with the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship, and he started talking about how he was a starseed and explained a few things about it, and the way he kind of talked about it really got my attention, and it kind of gave me chills because he was giving like real life examples that I was like, oh yeah, I've been through that. I think that I've had that happen to me. That is my existence. And when I started to, that kind of whet my palate, and I went home and of course went right into research mode and started researching everything and going full on OCD about it and looking up everything I possibly could. It's like going on WebMD when you've got a cold, and after 10 minutes of searching, you've got some rare, disease from the Congo that has no cure, and, you're going to die in 3 days, a really horrible death, right? That's kind of how it was with my journey exploring what a starseed was. And it was so whacked out to me at the time and just so scary, the idea that I could not be human and that humans could have been seeded by another race of beings. And I mean, I've always been a sci-fi girl, so it wasn't that the concept was beyond me. It was that somehow it was safer for me to have it be science fiction rather than, sort of science fact. And it took me 2 years after that initial download and research and exploration and fear, and talking to my mentor at the time about, I don't want to be a starseed. It just doesn't even make sense. And how can any of this make sense? And, she basically was like, well, listen, you don't have to be anything you don't want to be. like you're attaching a lot of energy to this particular topic. Why don't you just let it go for a little while, and sort of you can revisit it later. And wise words always from E. And it took me 2 years, and I don't even know. I can't even tell you. Like, there wasn't one particular incident or circumstance, in that 2 years that stands out to me in terms of when I was able to really wrap my head around the starseed concept. But it happened, and I kind of, I guess, maybe woke up one day and realized, conceded to the truth that, yep, that's who I am. This is me, and this explains why I'm different even among people that I have commonality with. And there's a difference in the bond with, from starseed to starseed. And of course, wherever you go, there you are, and where people are, there are people, and it's going to be, we're all here to be in soul contracts with each other and all the rest of it. So I'm not saying that a starseed dynamic is going to be sunshine and daisies, wine and roses all the time, but there's definitely, I want to say, a very different experience when you connect with a fellow starseed versus when you're connecting with, say, a soulmate or a light worker or just another really kind, open-minded seeker human that's out and about in the world. The starseed bond is pretty incredible because you can feel really seen. You feel really seen. You feel really understood in such a visceral way that I want to say, I feel like humans get that a lot from other humans. Ducks get that a lot from other ducks. There are ducks that can look at a swan and see a swan and say, wow, you're magical, or you're amazing, or I can see something is different about you and I'm really drawn to that difference. But the connection to it isn't quite there in the same way as when two starseeds connect. So when you have that experience of meeting another starseed as a starseed, especially the first time it happens, it can be life-changing because you suddenly don't feel so isolated. You suddenly don't feel like a leaf blowing in the wind. You say, oh my God, there's another person on the planet who gets it, who sees behind the illusion of what is presented, who understands that there's more than meets the eye to what it is that we're seeing. And it's through that journey where you start to really open up and I want to say connect with your purpose, develop your purpose. And so I'll basically talk a little bit about the differences between a starseed and a light worker. Can a starseed be a light worker? Yes. I want to say absolutely. I am not an expert in all of these things, and I happen to believe that, we can resonate with different things that can help us put a structure to that linear mind to give us some peace or words to be able to describe our experiences to other people. But I would not say it's hard and fast. Everything is flexible and everything is fluid. But a light worker, from my experience and understanding, is someone who is drawn to the light, someone who has lived many lifetimes, incarnated many lifetimes on the planet, has recollection of those past life experiences, often has anxiety around their gifts, because in past lives they've been, perhaps killed or tortured for those particular gifts. Light workers are individuals who genuinely really like to see people better off, leaving people better off than they found them. They are very heart-based, heart-focused, and heart-oriented. They are healers. They're helpers. They want to make a difference in this world. They tend to be the individuals who lean into kindness first. Kindness is their currency. Kindness is their, I want to say, their automatic, their drive mode. They are often drawn to healing arts, the medical community, doctors, nurses, teachers, coaches, therapists, A lot of light workers are therapists. There's just basically a light worker is drawn to the light, sees maybe the negative aspects of life, and says, I want to make it better. I know that I can make it better. I really want to help people. And that is a core aspect of their blueprint. Starseeds have a lot of the same qualities, but the difference is that a starseed has kind of like a dual purpose. They've come here for their soul growth and learning, and light workers too. They've come for their soul growth and learning, and their soul growth and learning comes through their healing and helping others. It comes through I've done the karmic wheel. I've done the cycle so many times, and I've learned what I needed to learn. So each lifetime builds on the last, and I am on my path of ascension and evolution in that way. A starseed is a little bit different. A starseed has gone through I want to say sort of those wheels of life, and I hesitate to use the word karma to describe starseed. It can apply, absolutely, but it goes beyond that, because a starseed has gone through many levels of ascension and evolution on other planets. And other planets, other civilizations, their journey and their purpose is different than the journey and purpose of humanity. And so there are different approaches and different perspectives that they bring to humanity, and they seed those concepts and perspectives and those experiences into the human collective and the human consciousness, because that is what they know. That is the experience they are coming with. I'm just what's dropping into my head right now, and I've actually truly never seen the show, but I was watched a YouTube short on this recently, so I think that's why it's popping into my head. There's a show out there where the bosses go undercover. These big CEOs and owners of companies go undercover into their franchises to sort of see what's actually happening and to get to know their workers and things of that nature. And I feel in many ways that analogy can be applied to the starseed energy, is that you come with all of this other knowledge. The life that you live is very different to life on planet Earth, right? So you living in your, sort of your oversight and your, corporate world and all the rest of it, and now you come in to, this is where the real people live, right? And so starseeds come in with all of that wisdom and knowledge, and they come in with the ideology of it, and they come in with the experience, the know-how, the blueprint on, my people had to evolve in this way, and we went through wars, and we killed each other all the time, and there was hatred, and there was fear, and there was rage, and here's how we were able to navigate those waters. And it's not about ascension in terms of becoming perfect beings and not having disagreement or differences, but they've lived in different places with different Earth is a planet of duality. It's the do-over planet. It's the Groundhog Day. Not every planet has that motivation or has that mission statement, right? So starseeds can come in, and they're bringing their psychic ability. They're bringing their telepathy. They're bringing their wisdom and knowledge of, who knows how many evolutions with other civilizations. So they really understand, without judgment, where humanity's at, the point that they're at, and what they need, the information that they need to make the choice to rise into that next level of human evolution. And so starseeds come in with these kind of dual missions. And one mission is, okay, I'm coming onto the planet because I'm learning about my soul journey, and yes, I'm growing as a soul, and I'm choosing to have a human experience, and I'm going to add that to my soul journey, but I'm also incarnating on the planet because this is a time where humanity needs to be able to see what they can become. And starseeds do that much as light workers do. You walk your talk. You live by example. You shine your uniqueness. You allow those differences, those things that make you stand out. You allow those differences to lead the way, to charge the path. And so light workers, I feel like they were, born and created here on planet Earth. So this is their home. And they often have a very deep love of Gaia, Mother Nature, Mother Earth, deeply connected to nature in those ways. Starseeds can be deeply connected to nature as well, but there's a difference. This is not their planet of origin. This is not their home. And so there's a peace that comes with connecting to nature. And there are areas on the planet that can remind them of home, but this is not home. So they're on a working, I like to call it a working vacation. They're on a working vacation because they're getting the added bonus of some individual soul growth and lessons and working through some stuff, especially because when they come in, they may not have incarnated on the planet before, or they may have incarnated significantly less. So the development is different. And so they have to kind of have a crash course in that human experience to get them up to speed so that they can, sort of step into their mission and purpose. And I feel like a starseed, when you're talking about that added mission and purpose, the starseed comes in with a very strong drive. It's almost a compulsion. There's such an inner knowing that, people don't think the same way I think here. There's a lot of pain on this planet, and I know I can heal that, or I know I can help that. I know the answer to that. I know how to fix that. I know how to solve that. And it can be really challenging to come into that space and you run into the ducks, right? Humanity. And many of the ducks are not interested in what you have to offer. And it's not about making the ducks become swans. It's about the swan showing extra swan special powers, superpowers, and saying, ducks, you have this superpower too, and here's how you can develop it. So it can be a real challenge. Light workers, I feel, support the planet, feed into Mother Earth, support humanity, give it the love and the frequency that is needed, that is necessary and is required. And starseeds do it in a slightly different capacity, from a slightly different angle. So I want to just talk a little bit about something that I noticed happening. For me, it happened a little sooner. I want to say I started noticing it in 2022 and 2023, but I really started noticing with my starseed clients that in 2024, there was a major shift, and it was like all of the starseeds were activated. And I'm not going to put a month around it because I feel like, it's different for all of us. But I really started to notice consistently in 2024, more and more starseeds coming to me saying, I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I've always been really comfortable with my purpose. I've always been, clear in my path, clear on my trajectory. My vision's been clear. And now all of a sudden, I'm feeling so drawn to a different path, so called to doing something else. Or I was perfectly content to do the thing that I've been doing, and now suddenly I feel like I need to expand it, and I don't understand what that is. Or some starseeds even were pulled into a completely different direction. And I want to say in 2022, for me, it was a very challenging year for me on an individual level and a personal level. And what was coming through in my own psychic development and through my own channelings was that I needed to release the human in me. release the human aspects of me, and live a purely starseed life. And you can just imagine what receiving those messages were like for me when I was neck deep in what I call 3D life, struggling with, I had gotten divorced in 2020 and was not properly schooled on, what it means to be a woman in business, owning a business, being a solopreneur, and being divorced, what that means for you from a tax perspective. And so there was just a lot of financial tower moments, a lot of financial crumbling and shocks and learning lessons, really hard learning lessons. And I was in a, quite frankly, just a real deep depression, a big funk, trying desperately to get out of it. And I'm receiving these channelings about, okay, well, you need to just let go of all this humanness and really just step into your starseed. And I'm like, well, what the hell does that mean? Like, I have to live by human rules. I live around humans. Red means stop and green means go. Like, I can't just, change the colors willy-nilly. What is this all about? What do you mean? And so it took me a couple of years to figure it out. And now I'm seeing, as in 2024, I'm seeing that other starseeds are kind of coming online. And basically what it is the energies and the frequencies that have been being deposited and being anchored by light workers and starseeds since 2000. And of course, 2012, even more. All of that foundation now has been laid. There's no more, no more necessity for new energy. It's like all the energy that we need is here now, and our mission and purpose now is to learn how to work with that energy, how to use that energy to build this, sort of new world and new society. And, for those of you who are listening in 2025, that we are in a major shift, and there is so much going on globally right now. There are so many changes on a daily basis that it's pretty evident that we are literally going to be rebuilding society from the ground up. Whether you live in North America or you live abroad in Europe or Australia or Africa or China, Russia, wherever you're at, things are changing, things are shifting. And that activation, a lot of starseeds feeling that in 2024, I feel is really about the invitation to say, okay, if I'm a starseed and I'm not a human, it stands to reason that a starseed needs different things to live and function. The swan eats different things than the ducks. Swans and ducks can swim in the same pond. They can be in the same environment. They can enjoy each other's company. But swans need different things to thrive, and ducks need different things from the swans to thrive. So it's not a situation of we're better or worse than ducks or swans. It's just, here are our differences, and here's what I need, for my own self-care and my own practice. It might be very different from what you need. And there's no judgment in that. It's just recognizing that, okay, a mani-pedi once a month is not enough self-care for a starseed. And in fact, a lot of starseeds could give two shits about all that stuff. So I really feel like we are now, as in this really major collective shift, a lot of dysregulation and chaos. There's always chaos that comes with creativity, and this is the tear down phase, and then we can build back up. Starseeds are being activated to step into, I want to say, a higher level of action. The purpose is real. The struggle is real. We got to kick into high gear here because this is what we came here to do. And each of the starseeds on this planet at this time, I'm going to say to you, have been born into this planet in your blueprint, knowing full well that humanity may have chosen a different path. We may have blown ourselves off the planet, but we didn't. And this, in human history, from a spiritual perspective is number 5. So I'm going to say 5 times is the charm, that we've made it. And we are now going to be able to cross that threshold that we haven't been able, that, humanity hasn't been able to up to this point. So if you are a starseed, if you're identifying it as this, and you've noticed in the last year, maybe even year and a half, that things have shifted for you, you're not alone, and it's not weird and it's not odd. It's more of an activation that says you have permission to live differently. Let go of human rules, because human rules are limiting. Yes, follow the signs of the law, the letters of the law on the road and things of that nature. Absolutely. We all got to coexist peacefully. But you don't have to follow what society says is right for you. You can beat to the tune of your own drum. And in fact, if you're conforming, if you're not beating to the tune of your own drum, the universe is going to see fit to very quickly course correct you. And it might be really uncomfortable when it happens. And it's going to give you a little bit of whiplash when it does, because it's going to be fast. Because we need all hands on deck right now. Now is the time. There is no denying that. So what can you do to kind of support yourself as a starseed? I'm going to say to you, this is not an easy path that we have chosen. But I offer to you perspective in that while it's not an easy path, because we have elected to forget who we are coming into this planet and have opened up to the remembrance of our core energy and our origin, it's that very remembrance that is here to give us the trust, the faith, the wisdom, the bigger picture. I want to say it goes beyond hope. It's the knowing. The absolute knowing that we are infinite souls. We never die. And this is but one of thousands and perhaps hundreds of thousands of lives, existences, what am I trying to say? Eras of crossing a new threshold and creating a new earth, or creating a new planet, creating a new path for the civilization that you are choosing to experience in physical form. This is I like to say it's the Super Bowl. This is what we've been waiting for. This is what we've been training for. You don't train for, 15 years of your life, hardcore train, to get to the Super Bowl only to say, okay, I'm good. I don't need to play the game. No, this is our time. And I offer this as empowerment. I offer this as encouragement. If you are feeling that your vision has changed, if you are seeing what is going on in the planet, and, if you're like me, it's rough. Some days it's really rough. I struggle. I do my best to walk my talk, but I'm not perfect. And I'm still figuring out, the best way to find a way to make this all work for me. But if I walk my talk, I can choose to go into fear. I can choose to go into spin cycle mode. I can choose to see what is going on around me in my reality in the world, and I can choose to get emotionally very upset about it. Or I can choose to say, wait a second, I've got insider knowledge. I've been around this block before. I've done versions of this in the past. I just need to go within to access what I learned from those experiences and apply it to now, because I'm kind of old hat at this pattern, at this cycle, at this precipice. It's new for me in that, humans are the name of the game, but it is not a new game for me. And I have won the game before in a number of ways. So I offer that to you, Starseeds, as a way to support yourself, support one another, be supported by Source, because there's a purpose for all of it. And you as a starseed chose your purpose. You said, this is an incredible opportunity, and I want to be a part of it. And just really briefly, before we're getting close to time here, I have a quick little story. So years ago, when I had just recently gotten married, I couldn't figure out why I didn't, I had always been connected to soulmates in my life and in my relationships, and I could always tell, a soulmate. And here I am marrying my husband, who, I still love today, love deeply, and was like, I don't understand, but I know he's not a soulmate. Like, I don't feel that same connection. I love him. I've chosen this path. I'm excited about being here. I'm in love. I'm all the things. Why, where's the soulmate piece? Like, I don't understand this. And I was talking to another psychic, and she said to me, well, one of the things you really need to know about yourself is that you were asked multiple times to incarnate on the planet, to come here at this time to do all of these, all these wonderful things, all the things and the stuff. And you turned it down several times because you were like, fuck no, I am not going on that planet of duality and negativity and the heavy extremes and all the rest of it. And apparently I kind of was voluntold to go. And in the process of that, I had to give myself permission to put in a few easeful experiences. And my now ex-husband was one of those easeful experiences. So if you're a starseed and you can relate to that, you are not alone. Anyway, I hope you guys have gotten a lot out of this this session, this episode. I actually was going to take it in a completely different direction. And, I feel like sometimes Source just steps in and directs it, and it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. So, shameless promotion. I am Stacey, the Black Feather Intuitive. I love working with you guys to empower you to live your best lives. And if you are a starseed or a light worker or just a seeker, and you're seeing all this chaos out here and you're going, what the fuck? And how am I supposed to do this? Or maybe you can relate to some of the things that I talked to today and you want to get a little more information about your particular path and journey, I would love to be of assistance. Check out my website, theblackfeatherintuitive.com, and book a session with me. I'd love to connect with you guys. Also, follow me on social media. I'm on YouTube, The Black Feather Intuitive, as well as Blue Sky. And my handle there is BFIPHX, so Black Feather Intuitive Phoenix. And I do all sorts of things. I've got a really interesting show called Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life. If you like wine, I do a segment called Day Drinking and Tarot. I do reading segments. I do myth busting, the metaphysical. It's a great time. It's a lot of fun. So would love to connect with you guys again. We will chat with you next month. In the meantime, hang in there and just transform unapologetically. See you soon.